Welcome to Smart Remarks, where you win some, you lose some, but it sure is a lot nicer to win some. So here we are the day after the election, and it's quite a good day. President Obama not only won the Electoral College convincingly, he won the popular vote. And it was quite the day sort of across the board for other reasons as well. Marriage equality measures won in Maryland, in Washington, and Maine, and in Minnesota, voters rejected a ban on gay marriage. Medical marijuana won on several ballots as well. The likes of Todd Akin and Richard Murdoch, their comments about rape and abortion and pregnancy, those guys lost their races. Elizabeth Warren won in Massachusetts. So I think it's probably accurate to say it was a wave. It was a progressive wave in this election. Now, Obama didn't, cruise in the popular vote or the Electoral College vote. It wasn't a landslide, but I think it was a pretty decisive victory. And it brings up something here that I was following in the weeks leading up to this election. I'm really curious about now. I have a question for conservative viewers if you're out there. In the weeks leading up to the election, there was a lot of talk from conservatives about how the polls that were being released that were showing the race neck and neck, or Obama sort of regaining the momentum after the first debate. There was a lot of talk that those polls were skewed. There was even a website created, unskewedpolls.com, by a Virginia Republican. The whole idea being that the mainstream media is creating these polls that just shows that they're in the tank for Obama. It's an outrage! And now the Republicans were going to present us with real, actual, unskewed information that told the real story of what's going to happen. And the last prediction posted on unskewedpolls.com was that Romney was going to win 271 electoral votes, I believe it is, and 51% of the popular vote. That site hasn't been updated since the actual election occurred. I wonder why. But you had a lot of this on the right in the weeks leading up to the election, this distrust of polls. The polls couldn't be trusted. Instead, what we needed to trust was our instincts and our feelings about what was going on. And you guys know how much I hate this Republican. We need to trust our gut business. But there was Peggy Noonan in the Wall Street Journal saying that maybe we're paying too much attention to the polls instead of looking around us. And she was noting the big crowds at Romney events, the fact that she was seeing a lot of Romney-Ryan signs in people's yards. Rush Limbaugh got in on the act. Glenn Beck and Dick Morris predicted Romney landslides. And then, of course, none of that happened. Romney gets clobbered. And so if you're a righty, what's your explanation for all of this morning? If you are a conservative, did you actually believe that the polls were skewed and couldn't be trusted? Did you actually believe that Romney was going to win and win big? And what was the basis for that belief? Because from what I see, what was happening on conservative media was that they were telling their constituents, their audience, what they wanted to hear. Conservative media like Fox News is bottom line of business. Give the customers what they want. Well, what did the customers want? The customers wanted a credible narrative that their guy, their party, their ideology was going to win. And so basically that's what they got. That's what they were handed. There was, how much coverage was there on Fox News? How much suggestion was there that Romney really might not win? Instead, what you had was the opposite. You can't trust the polls, and not just Fox News, but conservative media sort of across the board. You can't trust the polls. What you need to trust is your instinct. We can see what's happening with our eyes. We don't need guys like the New York Times' Nate Silver to tell us what's happening. In fact, as that same Virginia Republican who runs skewedpolls.com said, Nate Silver's kind of thin and effeminate. So must the numbers that he's analyzing must also be thin and effeminate. What we need to trust are our manly man instincts. We know what's going on. And when it turns out that that's not true, how do you possibly account for that? How do you explain that? Because it seems to me that there's been a lot of talk about Republican epistemic closure, which means that conservatives tend to live in their own media bubble. They trust only their trusted media sources. They go to Fox News, they go to Rush, they go to places like that for their information. They got bad information this time around. They got incomplete and inaccurate information this time around. And so what I want to know is, did they actually believe this, or was this simply a rhetorical device to convince other voters, and perhaps conservative voters most of all, that Romney really was in this thing, that Romney really had a chance, that he still had a fighting chance and we can't give up and we got to keep going. All indications are that he's doing well, he just needs your support. Is that what it was? Or was it that people actually legitimately believed that the polls were wrong and that Romney was going to win? If there's any conservative viewers out there who want to respond to this, I'd be very interested to hear that, because it seems to me that if that is what you believe, the basis for that belief was what you were being told, and the people who were telling you that were wrong. And I wonder if in the future that's going to influence your willingness to believe them going forward.